Imagine, just for a second, the most terrifying scenario you possibly can.
Go ahead.
You survive this absolutely harrowing abduction. Against all odds, you fight your way through the nightmare, and, you actually make it back to the person you love most in the world.
Right, the ultimate relief.
Exactly. You think the ordeal is finally over, you survived the monster outside, but then you realize your own community, like your neighbors, your friends, your entire world has quietly locked their doors on you.
Oh, wow. That's dark.
Right. You've escaped physical captivity,
Right.
only to realize that doing the morally right thing, like literally just existing as a survivor, has completely destroyed your life on the inside.
Because the betrayal cuts deeper, The threat isn't coming from the shadows anymore. It's coming from your own front porch.
Yeah, from the people who are supposed to be your safety net. Well, welcome to you, the learner, to another deep dive for the Simplified Summary YouTube channel. We are so thrilled you've chosen to spend your time with us today as we explore these really profound, often challenging aspects of human nature.
It's going to be a heavy one today, but a really important one.
Definitely. And hey, before we unpack today's story, if you enjoy this kind of rigorous, thoughtful breakdown, please do us a humble favor. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share your valuable comments down below.
It really does help.
It helps the algorithm find other curious minds, and it ensures we can keep bringing these deep dives directly to you.
So today we are immersing ourselves in excerpts from a real masterpiece of early 20th century literature.
Yeah, we're looking at Munshi Premchand.
Right. Specifically, his gripping kind of tragic story, Bahishkar, which translates to Boycott or Excommunication.
And this specific text comes from his famous Mansarovar collection, Part 5.
It does. And Premchand was known for holding a very harsh, unflinching mirror up to society.
Oh, absolutely. The reflection we get here is just devastating. We're going to unpack the intense ideological clashes and the crushing psychological toll of social isolation that he details in this story.
But before we get into the weeds, we do need to make a quick note.
Right, a really crucial note. The story we are analyzing today features some intensely religiously and politically charged dialogue between a Muslim character and a Hindu character.
Right.
And as your guides on this channel, we want to explicitly clarify that our deep dive today is simply reporting the content, the narrative architecture, and the themes of Premchand's original text.
We are definitely not endorsing, validating, or taking sides on any of the viewpoints expressed by the characters.
Not at all. Our mission is strictly to analyze the literature and understand the human condition exactly as the author presented it.
Exactly. We're dissecting the historical and psychological context Premchand was writing within. So the characters' views belong entirely to the characters.
Yeah, they serve as vehicles for the author's critique of extremism, fear, and societal rigidity.
Well said.
Thanks. So with that foundation set, we are thrown immediately into this deeply unsettling narrative fragment.
It starts so fast.
It really does. We meet a woman named Govindi, and she realizes with this creeping horror that she has been deceived.
She hired a Tonga, right?
Yeah, a Tonga, like a horse-drawn carriage. She was just expecting a routine journey, but instead, the driver has completely hijacked her route.
She hasn't been taken to her destination at all.
No. She's been delivered directly to a Kazi.
And we really need to clarify what a Kazi represents in this context because it elevates the terror of the situation.
Right, it's not just some guy.
Exactly. A Kazi isn't just a random individual. Historically, this is a title for a magistrate or a judge in Islamic law.
Wow. Okay.
So Govindi isn't just facing a rogue kidnapper. She's facing someone who holds a degree of systemic religious authority.
The power dynamic is just immediately skewed entirely out of her favor.
Completely.
And the tension spikes instantly because the Kazi isn't just holding her captive in a room. He is actively brandishing a sword.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. Under the threat of this weapon, he basically declares his intent to forcefully convert her to Islam.
It's a moment of raw, visceral terror.
But Premchand doesn't just write a one-dimensional villain twirling a mustache here, does he?
No, not at all. He gives this Kazi a monologue, a deeply rooted, internalized justification for his extreme actions.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the specific rationale the Kazi uses straight from the source text is really vital for understanding the mechanics of extremism.
It really is. He doesn't frame his actions as an unprovoked attack.
Right.
He frames them as a desperate, necessary defense. He claims explicitly that the Hindu community is actively trying to erase Muslims through deceit and force.
And so in his mind, his community is under an existential threat.
Exactly. Therefore, he feels utterly compelled to retaliate.
He tells her it is God's command to bring non-believers to the path, by force if necessary, because he genuinely believes the other side has already started the war.
Right.
Like he's holding a lethal weapon, but his words are entirely about his own fear of being erased.
It's a psychological portrait of how panic fuels atrocity. Extremism rarely views itself as the aggressor.
That's a great point.
The Kazi's justification is rooted in this paranoid narrative that his entire identity is on the verge of annihilation.
Yeah. And when an individual or a group genuinely believes they are fighting for their very survival, their moral compass completely inverts.
They rationalize the most horrific acts, like abducting an innocent woman at sword point, as righteous self-defense.
He is operating on pure panic, cloaked in religious duty.
Yeah. And this is my favorite part, Govindi's response to this panic.
Oh man, the part of the text that gave me absolute chills.
Right, she doesn't cower.
Not at all. I mean, it's a terrifying physical threat, but isn't Premchand actually setting up a psychological debate here about how fear drives extremism?
He absolutely is. What's fascinating here is that Govindi refuses to be a passive victim. She attacks the moral foundation of her captor's actions.
Yeah, even under the direct physical threat of violence, with a blade literally gleaming in front of her, she pushes back.
She looks at this man who holds her life in his hands and fundamentally questions his morality.
She asks if God truly commands the abduction of women to ruin their honor.
She attacks the theological premise of his actions.
Yeah.
And she also argues that true Hindus would never support the kind of oppressive, erasive actions he's accusing them of.
By doing this, she just totally refuses to play along with his holy war narrative.
It requires an unimaginable level of bravery to intellectualize your own trauma while it's actively happening.
I can't even fathom it. She's essentially saying, you hold the sword, you hold the power, but I will not allow you the comfort of pretending this is a righteous act.
She strips away his religious justification and exposes it as mere violence.
Just incredible. So Govindi escapes the physical prison of the Kazi's home.
She does.
But the story executes a massive heartbreaking shift right here. She makes it out. She finds her way back home to her husband, Gyan Chandra.
And initially this feels like the hard-won happy ending, right?
Right. Against the incredibly rigid cultural norms of the time, Gyan Chandra does the noble, compassionate thing.
He accepts his wife back into his home after her abduction.
Yeah, the text notes that this single act of compassion makes Govindi view her husband as a literal deity.
His love overrides the societal expectation that he should abandon her.
But her escape from the Kazi's physical prison leads her directly into a psychological prison built by her own husband's community.
Yeah, the sword is gone, but the threat of erasure is exactly the same.
It's like surviving a shipwreck and swimming all the way home, only to find that your own village has quarantined you forever.
That's a perfect analogy. The societal reaction to Gyan Chandra's compassion is absolute crushing rejection.
And this is where we hit the title of the story, right?
Exactly. Bahishkar, society completely boycotts them. They are excommunicated.
That's entirely cut off.
Because in the eyes of their deeply conservative, rigid society, Govindi is now considered tainted.
Even though she escaped.
It doesn't matter. Her sheer proximity to her abductor, regardless of her innocence, regardless of her escape, has polluted her in their eyes.
And by accepting her back,
Gyan Chandra has willingly polluted himself.
the mechanism of this boycott is fascinating and just horrifying. It's like having your bank accounts completely frozen, but instead of money, the community has frozen your access to human cooperation.
Yeah.
You can't buy food, you can't get help, you can't speak to a neighbor. You are entirely cut off from the human grid.
Premchand provides a profoundly insightful line directly in the text regarding this mechanic.
Oh, about the wealth aspect.
Yes. He points out that wealth makes a boycott, and social insults feel trivial.
Right.
If you are wealthy, a boycott is merely an inconvenience.
Right.
But in poverty, these same obstacles become lethal.
Lethal.
The specific word used in the text is pranantak, which translates to life-ending or fatal.
Let's hover on that economic reality for a second. If a wealthy person is canceled or boycotted by their immediate society, they insulate themselves. They retreat to a large estate. They import goods from the next town over.
They hire private help.
Exactly. They essentially buy a replacement for the society that rejected them. But for a poor family in a rural village setting.
It's completely different. For a poor family, the village society is the entire supply chain.
Yeah.
It is your safety net, your grocery store, your employer. Your emergency room. When that society cuts you off, you don't just lose friends. You lose the fundamental ability to survive.
You're starved out.
Literally.
And the text details this grinding, daily struggle with agonizing precision. Gyan Chandra and Govindi are surviving only by selling off her jewelry, piece by piece, just to secure basic provisions.
And they endure days without a single grain of food in the house.
They have absolutely no friends, there's no one to talk to, no one to share their grief with, no one to validate their existence.
Because humans are obligate social creatures.
We really are.
We require community not just for physical survival, but for psychological stability. When you are entirely cut off, when every door is deliberately slammed in your face by people you've known your whole life, the silence becomes deafening.
It actively erodes your sanity.
The isolation isn't just sad. It is an active, aggressive form of violence disguised as passive avoidance.
Which brings us to a part of the text that initially caused me a lot of frustration as a modern reader.
Oh, regarding Gyan Chandra.
Yes. We start focusing heavily on Gyan Chandra's mental state. And Premchand establishes that Gyan Chandra is an educated, capable man.
He is.
So my immediate reaction was, if he's so educated, why is he letting his family starve?
Right.
Why is he just lying around the decaying house all day? Why doesn't he just pack up his wife and child, leave this toxic village, move to a city where no one knows them, and find a job?
I mean, it is the most logical question from a contemporary viewpoint. We value mobility and reinvention.
Yeah, exactly. Just move.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, to understand Gyan Chandra's paralysis, we have to understand the operating system of the culture Premchand is writing about.
Okay.
We have to look at the concept of kul maryada, family honor.
Oh, right. In this society, honor isn't just like an abstract internal feeling of pride. It's a tangible social currency.
Exactly.
Without it, Gyan Chandra is essentially bankrupt.
Bankrupt is the perfect word. Gyan Chandra's entire identity, his pride, his very life force, were inextricably tied to his standing in the community.
Wow.
In his world, a man's worth isn't determined by his internal intellect or his private bank account. It is determined entirely by how his peers view his family line.
So when the Bahishkar happened, it wasn't just a loss of a social circle.
No, it was a total annihilation of his identity.
Hmm.
Once his kul maryada was stripped from him, his internal foundation completely crumbled.
So he is physically capable of walking out of the village, but mentally his legs are broken.
That's a powerful way to put it. He is suffering from a profound psychological paralysis.
It's just tragic.
And Premchand reveals compounding tragedies that make this paralysis even more insurmountable.
Wait, there's more.
Yes. The text tells us that Gyan Chandra's spirit was already partially destroyed before the abduction even took place.
Oh, wow. I missed that implication initially.
Yeah, the family was suffering from putra shock, the profound, debilitating grief of losing a son.
Oh my God, that reframes everything.
Doesn't it?
He wasn't a man operating at full strength who was suddenly knocked down. He was already a fragile, grieving father, barely holding his life together.
Exactly. The loss of a child had already depleted his resilience. The boycott was simply the final, fatal blow that finished the job.
He had no reserves left to fight a society that had turned its back on him.
None at all.
You know, the detail that really twists the knife for me is the deep cognitive dissonance Gyan Chandra experiences regarding his wife's innocence.
Oh, the internal struggle.
Yeah. The text makes it very clear Gyan Chandra knows, logically and factually, that Govindi is completely innocent.
He knows she was a victim of deception.
He knows she did nothing to bring this upon herself. And, you know, to his credit as a character, he never speaks a harsh word to her. He doesn't outwardly blame her or abuse her.
Right.
But internally, his internal monologue is a completely different story.
Internally, he feels that God is punishing him.
Which is just crazy to think about.
It is the ultimate tragedy of deeply internalized societal norms.
Yeah.
Even when your logical brain consciously knows that society's rules are wrong.
Right. Even when you make the conscious, compassionate choice to choose love over archaic dogma.
The societal conditioning is so deep that your emotional brain still processes the rejection as a moral failure.
The conditioning overrides his own logic. He feels divinely punished because he broke the rules of purity, even though he knows those rules are cruel and unjust.
He has internalized the very shame that the village is projecting onto him.
It's heartbreaking. He is paralyzed by the fear of facing society without decent clothes, without his honor, without his standing.
He is trapped in a house, watching his own life slowly extinguish, because the invisible weight of society's gaze is literally too heavy for him to stand up under.
And isn't there something about their other child?
Yes. The only tiny sliver of solace he has left, the only anchor keeping him tethered to reality, is watching their surviving young child play in the house.
It's a haunting, kind of pathetic image. An educated, capable man sitting in a decaying home, slowly starving to death, entirely defeated by the concept of what other people think of him.
Yeah. Gyan Chandra did the objectively right, loving thing. He protected his wife.
But the fear of society's gaze destroyed his ability to actually live the life he fought to protect.
He saved her from the Kazi's sword, only to let them both slowly die by the community's silence.
God, when we pull back and look at the entirety of this deep dive, it forces us to apply these mechanisms to our own lives.
It really does.
For you, the learner, listening right now, you might not face a literal village-wide Bahishkar in the way Gyan Chandra did. But the mechanics of social isolation haven't disappeared. They've just evolved.
Exactly. We think we've moved past the archaic cruelty of a village excommunication.
Yeah.
But if you look at modern digital ostracization, what we often call cancel culture, the psychological mechanisms are identical.
The rapid freezing of social cooperation, the sudden loss of livelihood.
The feeling that an invisible collective gaze has deemed you tainted and unworthy of participation in society.
It really begs the question, has human nature actually evolved, or have we just digitized the pitchforks and the boycotts?
Have we just found faster, more efficient ways to execute a Bahishkar without ever having to look our victim in the eye?
Wow.
It leaves us with a profound dilemma to mull over, long after this deep dive ends. When a collective group excommunicates an individual simply because they stepped outside the accepted lines of purity or conformity, who is truly the one being degraded? Is it the outcast who loses their social standing? Or is it the society that casts them out, actively losing its own humanity and compassion in the process of enforcing the rules?
That is a heavy, completely necessary thought to carry forward. You survive the shipwreck, you swim all the way back to the shore, and you realize the people standing dry on the beach, refusing to help, are the ones who are truly lost.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much to you, the learner, for joining us on this rigorous journey through Premchand's Bahishkar for the Simplified Summary channel.
It's been quite a ride.
It really has. If this exploration of psychological survival and societal pressure sparked something in you, please take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button.
Drop a like on the video and jump into the comments section.
Yes, we want to know your thoughts. Do you think modern digital isolation is just a new form of Bahishkar? How would you have navigated Gyan Chandra's impossible situation?
We'd love to hear what you think.
Share your insights down below. Until next time, keep questioning the world around you, keep learning, and keep diving deep.